A cold January night in Canton, Massachusetts, a luxury SUV idling on a silent suburban street, and the lifeless body of Boston police officer John O'Keefe lying in the snow. The case began like a tragic accident, but the deeper investigators dug, the darker the shadows grew. Viewers around the world felt the chill of this mystery, sensing that this was no ordinary incident. Something was off, and someone was hiding something. Karen Reed, John's girlfriend, became the center of the storm within hours. Authorities said she struck him with her SUV after a night of drinking, leaving him to die outside a house party. But Karen insisted she was innocent, that she loved him, and that she was being framed. The tension between her cries for justice and the police narrative lit a fuse that turned a local tragedy into a national obsession. As the case hit the media, whispers turned into headlines. Was this a drunk driving accident, or a cover-up involving police officers, friends, and a party that went horribly wrong? And just as the world tried to make sense of the chaos, a question echoed through every living room: what really happened outside that house? Stay with me, because this story is about to take a turn that will shake you. Investigators describe a chaotic scene: broken tail lights, fresh impact marks, and data pulled from Karen's SUV that suggested a collision. It seemed like a neat package wrapped with courtroom precision. But no one watching felt comfortable. The timeline didn't fit. The weather didn't fit. Even the injuries didn't fit. Karen's defense team came out swinging. They said the evidence had been manipulated, mishandled, and in some cases, completely ignored. They claimed the real crime happened inside the house where the party took place, not outside. According to them, John O'Keefe was beaten, bitten by a dog, and dragged into the snow after he was already dying. Their accusations were explosive. This wasn't just a trial anymore. It was a war, one between a woman fighting for her life and a system fighting to protect its own reputation. And no matter which side viewers stood on, they couldn't shake the feeling that someone was lying. The question wasn't who, but why. As the courtroom opened, every seat was filled, every camera focused, and every breath held. Karen entered with eyes full of exhaustion, yet defiance. Prosecutors painted her as a jealous girlfriend who exploded in rage. The defense portrayed her as a scapegoat trapped in a political nightmare. The clash of narratives created a tension so thick, even the judge seemed to feel it. Witness after witness walked up, but instead of clarity, confusion grew. Memories blurred, stories shifted, and details conflicted. It became obvious that this wasn't a clean-cut investigation. Phones had been wiped. Logs were missing. People who were supposed to testify suddenly forgot key details. It was like watching a puzzle where half the pieces had been replaced. And still, Karen sat there, breathing heavily, knowing that each false statement dug her deeper into a grave she claimed wasn't hers. As the truth slipped farther away, one thing became clear: this trial wasn't just about a crime, it was about power. Then came the house party. The place where everything supposedly went down. Inside that home were friends, officers, and people with deep connections to law enforcement. Yet none of them reported seeing John. None of them admitted hearing a crash. And strangely, none of their surveillance cameras captured anything helpful. The defense argued that John was injured inside and placed outside later to stage a hit and run. They pointed to dog bite marks, snow patterns, and injuries inconsistent with being struck by a vehicle. They suggested a cover-up designed to protect certain individuals inside the house. As these claims hit the courtroom, gasps filled the air. Viewers around the world felt something they didn't expect: doubt. Was Karen actually telling the truth? And if she was, who was desperate enough to bury it? Not long after, digital evidence took center stage. Karen's phone, John's phone, text messages, timestamps, all of them examined under a forensic microscope. The prosecution highlighted messages that sounded like anger. The defense highlighted messages that sounded like fear. Those texts became weapons for both sides. GPS data, however, raised even more questions. Records showed Karen's movements, but inconsistencies appeared in the position of other key people that night. Their phones didn't line up with their testimonies. Their timelines didn't match their own statements. Even the duration John was outside in the snow didn't match the medical findings. It was as if reality itself was flickering between two stories, one where Karen was the killer, and one where she was the victim. And the more the digital evidence unfolded, the more viewers felt the ground shifting beneath the entire case. Emotional testimonies shook the courtroom. Friends cried. Officers clenched their jaws. Family members broke down on the stand. Each of them carried memories of John O'Keefe, some filled with love, others with frustration. Their words painted a portrait of a respected officer whose life ended in unimaginable tragedy. Karen's emotional breakdowns became viral moments. Tears streamed down her face as she mouthed the words, "I didn't do this." Some believed her. Others didn't buy it. But one thing no one could ignore was her genuine fear of losing her freedom, fear of never clearing her name, fear of being forgotten as the world chose a narrative that wasn't hers. By this point, the trial had become a human drama, raw, painful, and filled with questions that cut deep into the soul. The truth was hiding somewhere, but every testimony seemed to bury it further. Experts in forensics, accident reconstruction, and medicine took the stand, stretching the trial into a battle of science versus speculation. The prosecution said the physics matched a vehicle strike. The defense said the injuries matched blunt force trauma inside a home. Two worlds, two truths, and one life hanging in the balance. The dog bite theory resurfaced, shaking the courtroom again. Photos of John's injuries raised eyebrows across the nation. Some experts agreed, others dismissed it. The clash of interpretation made the case even more divisive, sparking global debates. In that moment, the trial became bigger than Karen, bigger than John, bigger than every witness who took the stand. It became a symbol of how justice can be twisted, hidden, or lost entirely when truth becomes inconvenient. As closing arguments approached, the tension felt unbearable. Karen stared at the jurors with eyes begging, "Please, listen, please, see me." Prosecutors asked the jury to focus on facts. Defense attorneys asked them to focus on common sense. The public watched every second, knowing the verdict would not only change one woman's life but ignite a firestorm. When the jury left the courtroom to deliberate, the silence felt suffocating. Reporters whispered. Families prayed. Karen sat frozen, gripping her hands so tightly her knuckles turned white. Hours passed. Then days. Each moment felt like a cliffhanger in a story that refused to end. And millions waited for a single word that could either free a woman or end her future forever. The jury returned. Karen stood. The world watched. And the words that followed shocked millions, a mistrial. The jury could not agree. Too many questions. Too many inconsistencies. Too much doubt. Karen collapsed in tears, but it wasn't victory. It wasn't closure. It was a temporary breath in a marathon she never asked to run. Both sides vowed to continue. Prosecutors hinted at a retrial. Karen's supporters called for an independent investigation into the house party and alleged cover-up. The courtroom felt like a battleground without an end in sight. In that moment, the world realized something terrifying. The truth still hadn't been found. It was out there, buried beneath fear, loyalty, silence, and power. The Karen Reed case became more than a headline. It became a question we all fear. How far will people go to protect themselves, and how far will one woman go to clear her name? Across America, across the world, people still debate what really happened that night. The truth remains locked behind closed doors, whispered stories, and unanswered calls. As this video ends, remember that justice isn't just a courtroom verdict, it's a journey. And sometimes, that journey takes years, tears, and unimaginable courage. Karen's story is still being written. So is John's. And so is the truth. If you want us to continue covering this case, uncover new angles, and investigate every hidden corner, make sure you subscribe, share, and stay with us. This story isn't over, and neither is our search for the truth. Allah Hafiz / stay safe everywhere.